And I would consider we are in what is called a trust recession right now. We're in a time where nobody freaking trusts anybody. Nobody trusts anyone who's marketing to them. Nobody trusts anyone who's trying to sell to them. And that the symptoms of that have been that what I have heard from a lot of you and from a lot of the people that I talk to are acquisition costs, both the amount of time that it takes to get a new client and the amount of money that it costs to get someone to even like look at your stuff or to want to book a call with you is going up. It's more difficult than it's ever been to get a new customer, because everyone's being marketed to and bombarded in every way. All consumers have basically taken the brunt of all these new business owners coming into the foray and all these new marketing tactics and all this stuff. And so everyone's talking about, and I would agree that the game has changed. It's getting harder, their walls are up, they don't want to buy. They're not just handing over credit cards like they were anyone else who was in the game in 2020 and 21. It was like they're just throwing credit cards at you. They're not doing that anymore. But the thing is that the players haven't changed. And Galal's talked about this a lot with his marketing work. The players haven't changed in that they still are craving a deeper connection. They want to connect. They want to connect with you. They want to connect with other people in your market. This is why all of us are in this room right now, because we're craving a deeper connection. Okay, so I want you guys to think about these questions on page 11 are all out of whack because, like Galal, I changed my worksheet multiple times after I had to hand it in, so I probably should have just done the QR code. But the first question there is, where have you noticed a trust recession? Either in your business, maybe it's been a little bit more difficult, what have been the symptoms that you've noticed, or maybe even as a consumer, you've noticed that you have a little bit less trust in the people selling to you. So I want you to think about that. Now, the new currency, I believe, so 2023, 2024, and I would still say attention and visibility is an important currency. But along with that now, if you want to truly actually sell, is trust. Okay, Alex Hormozy made a post, and I couldn't find it because he makes like 1,000 posts a day. And he said something to the effect of, followers and engagement even aren't as important as they used to be. What's important is, are you retaining them? Are they watching your stuff? Like, are they actually watching the whole video? Are they actually listening to what you're saying? And this echoed Sharon's talk from our California mastermind in January, where he said, I thought it was the most important line he said the whole time was, time on brand is the new CTA. Time on brand, time watching you, time listening to you, time being indoctrinated into your manifesto, your beliefs, your vision. And then this further goes into something that I've had a couple conversations with you guys, and people are like, well, I don't know about that, but I think the sentiment is true, that this 7-11-4 rule that I've shared with a few of you, right? 7 hours of consumption over 11 different interactions, over 4 different places, tends to get people to be willing to buy. So the question though is then, how do we get them to that 7 hours? They have to trust us enough to keep watching, right? And it becomes a cyclical thing of we have to build the trust and then we have to keep the trust. Leveraging emotional intelligence. So 5 ways that we can take these concepts and leverage them, more objective decision making, getting deeper on that vulnerability and storytelling, detaching from the outcome, active listening in all facets of your business, and then over-delivering earlier than you could ever think possible. So, objective decision making. How many of you guys would consider yourselves people pleasers or recovering people pleasers? We got it? Okay, I'm going to put both hands up. I want to share with you some examples of some clients of mine when they're not making objective decisions. I have a client who delivers an incredible service and it gets incredible results, but they're scared to speak publicly, to share their point of view publicly because they're scared that people won't like them. So they don't. Not an objective decision, right? I've got a client who is incredibly busy, doing just a ton of personal stuff going on in their life. And they are showing up to group calls because they want to support the person running the group call. and they are taking every networking call that someone asks just in case that could lead to something, and forgetting that they need to deliver their product and that they need to have a lot of stuff in their personal life that they need to take care of. Those are not objective decisions. I have another client who has a team member who is underperforming and bringing other team members down, and they were afraid to let go of them or to even have a conversation with them because they were afraid about that person's financial situation. It's not an objective decision. We can see in this room as I'm telling you these stories, well, just say the thing, take the stand on social media, say it, don't worry about what people think. And we can say, don't take those networking calls, don't jump on those group calls, do the work you need to do. And we can say, oh, let go of that person or hold them to a higher standard. But it's really hard when we are emotionally the one in the situation. We're in the hurricane of emotion, and there's this like codependent, messy relationship that ends up, when we don't make that decision, not serving anybody. And especially not serving the business and not serving the people that we want to serve. So we need to be able to make more objective decisions, and we need to be able to respond instead of react, and set those boundaries and hold those boundaries, holding those people to a higher standard. So my question for you here is, if you go down to number 6, where does a decision in your business need to be made? If you were to make a more objective decision in one place in your business, where would it be? What decision are you putting off? Now, it doesn't need to mean you need to like act on it immediately, but you need to make the decision. Then we can help you act on it. If you were to remove all the emotion, as much emotion as you can, and make an objective decision, what would that look like? Because as much as, yes?
I had to make one yesterday. I'll just share it quickly. Like, I invested in a mentor of mine, a guy who the Carey Oberbrunner, the guy who I got help with on the book. He's been incredibly helpful. And then he pitched me on like getting LinkedIn stuff going, and I bought it, and I was like, but I don't even have a system for this. Like I feel, and I was like going back and forth, like, man, I don't want to disappoint him. I don't want to like.
Yeah.
And then I was like, but then yesterday at my presentation, I convinced myself that I'm doing something stupid here, and I got to go and take action. And so and he was, so what did I do? I made up a story in my head. Oh, Carey's gonna be upset with me. He's totally cool with it. Mm-hmm. He's like, man, whatever, because I'm a good friend of his and whatever. So.
Well, and also if he's in abundance.
To it, but I got over it.
Yeah, well, you were probably most worried about what Carey would think and feel.
But it was like...
But it was a bad decision.
Well, yeah, it's like, I'm not going to pay $2,500 just so that Carey's, like, not upset with me. Because that's just a bad business decision, so...
So we can see, like, this is not...
Objectively.
Yes, it's an objective decision that is likely going to be best for your business. And, I mean, I would imagine that Carey wouldn't want that kind of energy in the business anyway, of this, like, person who's paid money because they feel bad for him and that he might, it's not going to work.
Guilt is not a good sales strategy.
There's the quote. Guilt is not a good sales strategy, right? So, where do you need to make a more objective decision in your business? Maybe even in your life.
Just to say, like, it wasn't that Carey's thing was wrong, it was bad. It was that it was the wrong fit for me.
Probably really good.
It's still
if you guys need LinkedIn help. It's probably really good. But these are the types of decisions that can snowball into not so good things, because that could snowball even into more resentment between, like, if Craig wasn't an emotionally aware person, could be resentment. They're like, well, this thing sucks. It's not working well for me, but it's not that the thing sucks. It's that it wasn't the right move. Okay? Second, vulnerability and storytelling. Now, I already got into this a little bit about Bedros, right? But the way I want you to think about it when we look from the consumer's perspective is it is changing in a way that credentials and experience even are not as powerful as vulnerability and storytelling, and showing the people on the other side of it that you understand them and you understand where they're coming from. Okay? telling your brand story, I think, is the greatest thing you can do in today's climate. We have a new client who is sells watches, high-end watches.
American made. American
Yes.
made is a big part of the story. It should be a big part of the story.
Exactly. And it's not right now. And so he sells these.
Could there ever be a better time?
There's no better time, right? And he sells these watches, and I go to his website, and I'm looking on all of his marketing, and I'm like, there's no story here. You're just telling me about a watch. And then I'm going to look, and maybe I'm not directly in his target market, but I'm sitting here going, well, it's a $1,200 watch. It's nice, but like, I want to get behind something, right? I want to get behind. I want to be a part of something, more so than I want to buy something. Okay, and I think that that's a sentiment that a lot of people are coming to market with is I want to be a part of something. And if I can better understand your brand and the story around it, then I'm going to be more likely to want to become a part of that. Now, I've always said, I've actually not always, but recently said, I'm not going to hire anybody like myself as a coach unless I would want to go for a coffee with them and hang out with them. I'm not going to. So how am I going to figure that out? Well, either I need to know them or their marketing, their branding needs to tell me, needs to show me why I might want to go, why I might connect with them, why I might feel understood by them, why I might be able to have a good conversation with them. So the best way to do that is through sharing your entire story, sharing every bit of it, even the tough bits. So if we go down here to, well, we already talked about the specific way you can share your own experiences, but if we add that to what Jason was talking about, I think we can have something here that can really allow people to see what you're bringing on a deeper level. Because the market or the people that are buying your stuff or that you want to buy your stuff recognize on a deep level, not a level that they could even explain to you, but recognize on a deep level that they can buy the same thing or a very similar thing from anybody. Okay? Further to that, and I said this to one of the tables in a round table, they can get the information you provide for free. They can get the information I provide for free, the information all of you provide for free. That's not what they're buying anymore. It is not what they're buying. They are buying you. They're buying the whole story and the whole package. So how can you share that with them? Yes, Clara.
I was my audience.
Yeah.
So I understand how they feel and I share that.
Yeah.
Like how I was, where they are, and then I want to.
And how you felt when you were in their position.
And all this. Does it have to be more than that, like more personal than that?
I mean, if I were you, I'd be selling the shit out of the travel you're doing. I mean, that's the dream. Okay, who do you sell to?
Acupuncture students and acupuncturists.
Okay, so she sells to service providers.
Yes.
Okay, who have a really excellent service and probably don't really know how to deliver it or sell it. What do we know about acupuncturists and service providers? What do you know about them? Most of them don't make that much money.
They don't make that much money.
And most of them don't have that much time. Clara makes a lot of money and has a lot of time. Now, if you can say, hey, I have been here, I have been where you are, and look where I am now.
See, I have a hard time with that because...
How many other people have a hard time with that?
It feels not humble, like it feels like, like I understand saying, okay, you know, I've learned to grow a practice, to do all this, but to go, hey, I'm traveling, I feel like it's just showing off, and that's not me, so that I have a hard time with that.
It could be construed that way, and it's the number one thing they want.
Really? I'm like...
Freedom and time? Absolutely.
Time, freedom, and money?
Yeah.
That's all most business owners want. So I'm not saying to go slam it in their face and be like, I'm better than you. But if we can tell that story a little bit more, if we could talk to them about where you were when you were a clinic owner and how you felt trapped and how you felt handcuffed and how challenging that was, and the way that you came to the place where you are now by strategically building a business that fit the ideal life that you want, I think there's a story there. And I think there's a deep connection point there to someone who goes, I want that. Would you guys agree? Make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Once again, it's a limiting belief there. Ah, Clara. Okay. Are you guys with me so far?
Yes.
Cool. When it comes to everything, actually, when it comes to almost every part of your business, marketing of your business, the selling of the product or service, and the delivery of it, it all comes down to one thing: conversations. Eric and I had a great talk yesterday about how, like, I think the best parts of life all come down to conversations. And everyone in this room, I've had great conversations with a lot of you guys, so you know how to have conversations. So why does it change when you're having a conversation with a potential prospect, whether it's, marketing in an email or marketing in on social media or anything like that? Why does it change? Because it flips to, what can you do for me? How can I extract money from you? It becomes transactional. And when Craig did his presentation in January, it really hammered home for me this agents of change idea. And he said, agents of change are not thinking about the next transaction or today or this week or hitting their targets this month. Now, they don't forget about that, but they're thinking bigger picture. And if you can have a good conversation with somebody, a real conversation that leads with, what can I do for you, instead of what can you do for me? How can I get you on the call as fast as possible? How can I move you through my funnel as fast as possible? That's when I think you're going to build a long-term sustainable business that serves you and serves the world. And it comes from detaching from results and control. I talked to you guys about this yesterday in the 90-day planning. It takes a lot of faith to detach from the outcome, to detach from how you get there. But it also puts you in a position to allow your true self, your true awesomeness, and your conversational skills to shine, because that's something we're all good at. You take that away when you try and make it transactional. So I want you guys to think about, and let's think about that now. Number 7 here, what do you think your prospect is feeling during that sales cycle? Especially in the most emotional moment of the sales cycle, either when you're asking them to book a call, or maybe, Joe, as we were talking about, they've now booked a call, but they're like scared because they know they're going to be sold on the call, right? These are emotional moments. What are they feeling? This comes back to that social awareness. And how can you help them? I mean, we're going to talk about that in a second, but how can you help them feel more at ease? Like, if I show up on a sales call and, look, people know they're being sold on a sales call, okay? Sorry guys, you're not going to pull the wool over their eyes anymore. The free strategy call, they know what's coming. So you have to show up in a way that can disarm them. And that comes from detaching, really in a big way, detaching from the results and going, hey, look, if it's the right fit, I am going to tell you how we can help you. But let's just have a conversation so that we can actually have a conversation. Okay, which comes to the next slide, which is about active listening. Okay, so when it comes to conversations, when it comes to, being in the DMs, when it comes to emailing, whatever it is, when it comes to being on a sales call, and even in coaching, a lot of my coaching clients are gonna be like, oh, that's what you were doing to me, is we must be able to frame questions in a way that allows our potential clients or clients to actually open up. And then we need to be able to listen to them actively. Like, we need to be able to listen for what they're really trying to tell us. Okay? So I like to use this frame when I'm asking questions, particularly in a sales moment, is I notice, or what I'm hearing is, and then I'll state a fact, not an opinion, a fact, something that they have told me or something that they have done or not done. And then I will ask a question. What happened? Is that correct? Would you agree? Okay? And the better that I can share, relay what they've said back to them, the more likely they are to feel seen, heard, and understood. Okay? And then I need to listen to understand them. Okay? This is something that I have learned through, learning about NLP and a lot of the mindset work that I've done is, and Craig talked about assuming and making an ass of only you. A lot of people, when they are talking to you, are giving you all their limiting beliefs between the lines. They're not actually saying it, but if you're looking for the right pieces, they are telling you, okay? Ryan's not in here, I don't think, but we had a conversation at the round table yesterday. There was a few of you guys who were at that round table, and he was telling us about some of the challenges that he was having in his business and how he's struggling to find really like rock stars who are willing to take the amount of money that he is willing to pay them for this job. And the way that he framed it all, he was making like 3 or 4 major assumptions that likely weren't true. Okay? So we need to be able to pull out, where are they making an assumption? And usually it's going to sound something like this: I can't, I won't, it'll never, I'll never. Or it's going to be the words that come right after but. But is what we call a negation. And everything after that is actually the truth of what they believe, right? I know I should be eating cleaner and prepping my meals, but I don't have time. What I'm hearing there is you have a belief that you don't have time, and I can go in on that now because I've actually figured out what you think the issue is. That comes through active listening, and it comes through listening for specific key points, okay? This is where emotional intelligence is going to help you help more people, because they don't even know they're doing it 90% of the time. Right? Ryan is a super smart dude. Anybody who's talked to him in here, but he didn't recognize that really big assumption that he was making. I was like, dude, you don't think someone who is like a YouTube creator who's like doing okay and has a super unstable income is going to be super pumped to come work for you for like $7K a month? He's like, whoa, no. He's hosting an event next month with 150 people. I'm like, just tell them this, that you need a few people to work for you. You're going to get like 50 applications, right? But there was an assumption there that he was making. Make sense? So I guess that's not on here, but where have you found that a lot of your clients or potential clients are making assumptions? Where are they making assumptions? What are their buts and shoulds? That's another one. People should themselves a lot. I know I should, but that's where we can find it. Okay? The last one is this. Everyone talks about over-delivering when someone pays you, let's over-deliver. Right? Said this earlier. Sorry, you got to over-deliver earlier now. You got to over-deliver before they pay you. You got to give them everything. Because a lot of the people that I'm seeing, like some of the biggest names in the personal development and the business space, they're just taking the paywall away. And all the stuff is just out there now. Because it's not as valuable anymore. Right? And I was saying to Joe, like, put it all out there. They're not going to watch it. And if they do watch it, they're not going to apply it. They're going to pay you for the execution of it. That's what they're paying for. So how can you give it all away, go well above and beyond before you even ask for anything? And I'll give you an example. George Lewinsky, who's works with Matt. So George did a presentation for our group maybe 3 weeks ago, all about like organic marketing and how you can, get where you want to go without ads. It was an excellent presentation. And he said, he was in Craig's vortex. He was in the world. He was, I'm not sure exactly how it was, but he was sniffing around. Okay? And Craig said, hey, what's your address? You guys know where this is going because you guys have all got this. What's your address? And George was like, oh, I'm in the UK. Cool, here you go. About a week later, the entire book package shows up on his doorstep. He was so overwhelmed at this over delivery, and Craig didn't ask anything. Here, you're in my world, you seem interested, have it. Less than a week later, he was on a call. Less than a week later, he was in our coaching program. Less than 3 months later, he was in our mastermind program.